Is the Minecraft movie canon?
Shit.
No. Along with lots of conflicting lore shown in the trailers alone, like the existence of a real world, the director directly stated that we're not canonizing anything. But is there hidden lore within its separated world? Kind of, but nothing that really jumps out. But that would require me to talk about spoilers, so stay tuned till the end of the video for that. First, we need to talk about the movie itself with no spoilers, in case any of you are worried about that sort of thing. So we'll stick to stuff related to the trailers and the overall tone. Coming into it, I expected it to have mostly cringy dialogue. While it wasn't exactly high art levels of dialogue, it surprisingly fit a lot, as in not a lot felt really out of place. A lot of the jokes landed, and every time Steve said Flint and Steel, I am Steve, or especially Chicken Jockey, the cinema I was in cheered and applauded, which was funny in itself that everyone was kind of in on the joke. The pacing was kind of fast, which feels like the Mario movie in that sense, which is fair in the fact that it's gotta also cater to kids, alongside longer time fans of the game. But it was still pretty good in all fairness. The Creeper was cool, but better shown in the movie was the Creeper's ignition, which if the hollow head wasn't already cool enough, the light flickers on and off like someone trying to get a lighter going, which was a really cool detail. The more ugly designs didn't really falter anything, not really being distracting to me at least. But that might be more the fact that I'm used to it since the first trailer. I also got this TNT popcorn bucket, which is kinda cool. Bit weird that it's more orangey. The merch has had a lot of conversation surrounding it, like with the Jack Black figure. Piglin and other stuff were pretty cool from what they showed. Felt pretty chaotic in its landscapes. There weren't any major sweeping shots and insights into the actual Nether itself. And the shown locations mostly felt like the bastions akin to Legends cutscenes. The soundtrack was pretty good too. Nothing massive to write home about, but still a pretty decent backing track. Experiences, capes and such were pretty good. The add-ons were pretty well received, along with the event server providing an actually pretty fun experience, which is a welcome surprise. Jack Black's appearances socially were funny, playing into the memes that have boosted the movie's popularity so much. References to the other games were pretty obvious from the trailer, like the Legends comparisons, the Boots of Swiftness, and a few more, like names of locations. Set pieces and overall locations were cool. It's pretty good that it isn't all CGI reliant. But even though a decent amount of CGI was still used and looked natural most of the time, there were definitely a few shots that were a lot more obvious that it was green screen. I think that's everything I can think of immediately. So now we're going to go into more spoiler territory. If you've got this video on in the background, I'll give you about a 5-second timer to pause if you don't want spoilers yet. Okay. Starting off is my favourite character from the movie. Unsurprisingly, it's Małgosia. The backstory she's given is pretty funny, with her resenting creativity because when she was young, she entered Nether's Got Talent, with her dancing being too creative that the piglins all laughed at her. From that day, she resented creativity, her eyes flashing like Enderman eyes the moment she does. One of my friends said instead of the orb's power giving her eyes due to its end magic, she got Ender Eyes because it was the end of her creativity, which almost sounds fitting for how the movie works. Speaking of, the orb is actually blue for some reason, with it being placed into a beacon frame near the end of the movie to create the Great Darkening, which is basically just the night beacon, but it sprouts netherwort around the place. When she's around in the overworld, she has 2 baby piglins holding incense burners with netherwort so she can breathe, which was a pretty cool visual. In the movie, she makes the Great Hog, which is basically a less interestingly designed Unbreakable from Legends with the Great Hog's name. But instead of being an intelligent threat, they're more Frankenstein monsters, with mentions of having to put the brain in before sending the first one out. Which, yeah, the first one gets blown up by a swarm of creepers from Steve's creeper farm. Małgosia just makes another one, which is kind of funny. Her interaction with a baby piglin near the start of the movie is pretty funny too, which was one of the few things shown in the trailer, where she just stabs him for drawing in crayon. She has energy and purple lightning-based attacks with or without the orb, mostly to kinda justify a more threatening presence. Her final battle with Steve, after their interactions at the start of the movie, like her imprisoning him, referring to him as Roundy and such, ends with not a simple cut-off from the netherwort that's keeping them from zombifying, but a battle between Steve with a diamond sword and Małgosia with her staff, ending as she realizes the beacon has been removed. fighting a little longer before cowering as she's too weak to fight. As she's struggling to even stay on her knees, she begins to beckon Steve to come closer, saying she needs to tell him something. Steve immediately knows she's trying to get him closer to stab him, getting the knife slapped out of her hand, which she tries 3 times, which is probably my favorite joke of the entire movie. How she just keeps saying that, "Oh, I can't stab you, I'm too weak," but still trying each time. General Chungus, whose name is still jarring even after hearing Malgosha say it completely seriously, leads the very first attack on the overworld, which, although starting off has a weird surfer dude type of voice, he's still a decently fun character, as he seems to have been friendly towards Steve, but at most seeing having to take him down as a slightly disappointing thing that he has to do. Hoglins did appear for one scene whilst the characters were flying away from ghasts using their elytra, with the piglins riding them. They were really fuzzy, surprisingly, and smaller than I think they should have been, but it might have looked awkward if they were bigger and only serving the purpose of mounts. The overworld mobs were pretty cool. The zombies have some genuinely cool moments where they'll fall off a tower or break their body otherwise, having to slowly crack themselves back into shape. So their inclusion was surprisingly fun considering they're a basic mob. When Henry, Garrett, and Steve need to go into the Woodland Mansion, which Steve refers to as Woodland Mansion as if it's a single place, Hank is sent upstairs to loot the storage room while Garrett and Steve distract the Vindicators. He's seen by an evoker and 2 Vindicators, being chased up to the top floor in an almost slasher film type way, stopping when he enters the storage room door, which for some reason the Vindicators who put their axes through said door decided not to follow him into the room. A little annoying thing was that the evoker literally got like 2 shots. Roughly like 7 seconds of screen time from what I can remember. They didn't even do anything either, they just kinda told the Vindicators to chase Henry. But as mentioned during Steve's planning phase before entering the mansion, the 3rd floor doesn't have any Illagers up there. They have an Enderman working in the storage room upstairs. Which is interesting, immediately reminded me of the ancient Illagers theory. Obviously not canon, but still something I liked. There was a Technoblade reference. I think the only actual screen-centric pig in the movie was wearing a Technoblade crown, which was really nice to see. The Enderman encounter itself was actually really cool. When it looks into Henry's eyes, it gets into his head, with Henry's eyes glowing a similar colour as it forces him into a hallucination. Something that is known that they can do, like in dungeons. Like how they cloud your vision with a layer of static before fighting against them. It starts making the walls pulse and writhe, as apparitions of his friends, like Steve with glowing white eyes as a Herobrine reference, insulting him and talking down to him. With Henry snapping out of it, he slashes the sword as the Enderman teleports around the storage room, almost static-like. Reminds me a bit of how the Thin Man from Little Nightmares 2 teleports. There's quite a bit more, but that's all that stood out to me straight away. The only hidden lore I could glean was the end of creativity thing from Malgosha, which is a bit of a silly thing in itself, but fits the movie. The post-credits scene could allude to a possible sequel, or stay as a final little reference before the movie ends. Steve goes back to his original house, which is now occupied. The occupant saying, "Is this about the chest in the attic?" And prompting her to ask him to come in, introducing herself as Alex.
I'm Alex, by the way.
Also, the sister character is teaching self-defense, bringing some of the weapons from the Minecraft universe into the real world. Like how Dawn has been going around the real world with Dennis, the Minecraft wolf. So maybe they're implying a future installment with more real world involvement, which I don't really think would work, and if anything would just lead into more Minecraft universe interaction from the real world. Also, the B-plot, where the principal falls in love with the nitwit, wasn't as prevalent. But the ending bit where her ex-husband runs in to say, "This is the guy." He speaks in completely fluent English with the most elegant accent I've ever heard. I recognize the actor too, but I don't remember his name. Anyways, the movie itself is pretty straightforward. Nothing is really hidden like the main game from what I can see. But if you guys have any theories, let us know in the comments. If you haven't seen the movie already, and you've watched this far into the video, the experience won't really be ruined unless you're a die-hard fan that knows almost every detail of this game. Thank you for watching, and have a good day or night.